So you're probably confused about the next banner and thinking about whether or not you should be pulling Citlali at the current point, considering there are so many absolutely beauty of the character that are going to be coming in not Krai. Will the Cryo Catalyst wielding grandma from Natlan, who's got more sass than a Snatch 9 Blizzard, help you? And will she be relevant with the new characters that are coming? Well, that's what we're here for in today's video. We'll be looking into a bit of Citlali once again and basically provide my opinion on Citlali at the current point and see whether or not she's going to be a worthy investment for you to go for in patch 5.8. In Alpha and patch 5.8 is going to be coming soon, and I know that there are characters that you are deciding to pull. So if you're planning to swipe for pulling, then don't forget to check out Loot Bar. If you know me, I've been recommending you guys Loot Bar before, since you can always save almost a 25% on all of your top-ups. With over 100,000 orders and so many good reviews at this point. And by the way, this also applies to PS5 and Xbox user who can place orders through Loot Bar. You can be sure that Loot Bar is trustworthy. Here you can see my order receipts of all of my top-ups that I have done. And for those who are going for the highest package when topping up, there's also a limited discount options available once every version. So guys, be sure to check out Loot Bar through the link in my description, as it can be a great way for you to save your money, especially if you are topping up a large amount. So basically, I'm not going to be going through in depth the Citlali skills and kit, because I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of what she's capable of, which is why, you know, you're thinking about pulling for her in the first place. But basically what she is she's a 5-star Cryo Catalyst support character who does have access to a bit of shielding, off-field cryo application, but more importantly has the ability to shred pyro and hydro resistance. Now of course, she is a Natlan character, therefore she will be able to help you with Night Soul Point, especially when it comes to Mavuika as a character. So yes, her kit is definitely a synergy to what Melt and potentially sometimes Freeze team if you really want to go with it, and boosting your main DPS damage while keeping them safe with, you know, the Opal shield. So yes, to quickly summarize, here is going to be Citlali's current strengths is that she does have really nice shield for you, cryo application is good, resistant shred when it comes to pyro and hydro. Team buffing is especially nice on Citlali because she can use Syndicity set, and we just gonna go with Syndicity set always on her anyway. She's also a decently flexible support because yes, cryo character, especially Citlali, while even though she is rather limited to pyro and hydro teams, but while there's so many different multiple teams at the current point that are really good, especially when it comes to Melt and yes, Freeze, so definitely she is going to be available in many of the team. Now even though she is more of a support character, that doesn't mean that she can't deal damage. If you want to, her nuke burst ability does really nice number, while you are going to be required to have a bit of an investment into her artifacts building. So while it does come down to your choice of how you build her. Now Citlali does have a number of weaknesses, though I don't think they are too bad. They're just like minor weaknesses, where even though she does provide you a shield, it's not like, you know, her shields are like on Zhongli kind of level or anything, but it's still pretty decent. It's just that don't expect it to last very long if you're, you know, directly taking on big hits from the boss enemies. Now even though she does have cryo application off field, but the timing can be a little bit limited at times, therefore you are required to have a bit of careful timing whenever you are using Citlali as a sole cryo applicator on the team, especially when it comes to Melt teams. She is rather energy hungry, right? Usually needing around at least 180% energy regen to have a comfortable burst rotation, and her elemental burst is absolutely important for her cryo application off field, because without sufficient Night Soul energy, she is not going to have her off field cryo application available. And as we mentioned before, while yeah, even though she's a cryo character, she's more or less going to be in a hydro pyro team mostly, therefore limiting a little bit of her role. But while considering that she's such a good character, I don't think many of us are going to care. While generally team building is pretty easy with Citlali, as we know, it's mostly Melt and Freeze team, and some of the best teams right now that Citlali is available in are like, you know, some of the top tier teams that we have in the game, especially, you know, like Mavuika Melt teams, Novelet Freeze teams, it's really nice, while Alekino Melt team is also very decent, and other, you know, free-to-play options, obviously she can be usable in those kind of teams as well. But as we can see, they are really good teams that in the game, so being available in those kind of teams means that she does have a lot of potential. When it comes to the investment element of Citlali. She's one of the more free-to-play friendly character, honestly. Her signature definitely boosts her a lot of EM and does grant you a 28% damage buff to the active character. Other than that, if you do have the Thousands of Floating Dreams from Nahida, that is also a decent one. But while the reason why she can be very free-to-play friendly is that she can have access to TTDS, which is basically a 48% attack increase for your DPS character. So that is already generally very good. Most of the time, you're probably just going to be using this anyway if you don't have the 5-star options. So yeah, we don't usually have to look into any other options for her weapons. Now for artifact sets, as we mentioned before, Cinder City is just literally the way to go. I can't really find a reason why you would not want a Cinder City set on this girl. Oops, I'm sorry, grandma. But like, Cinder City is very good. Go with it. You don't really have to think about anything else. Now, many of you may already have C0 Citlali and potentially want to look into Constellations. And yes, I do have to say that her Constellations are actually pretty decent. For C1, it's pretty good. Like, it grants you a 10 Stellar Blades on skill use, boosting your ally damage by 200 EM per attack. And that's only C1. Not to mention her C2 is, oh my god, one of the better Constellation C2 we have in the game. For you get 125 EM plus for Citlali. Other than that, 250 EM for shielded allies, as well as increase the resistance shred to a 40%. Yes, overall a really nice stopping point for most of the players. Other than that, C4 is slightly more niche, where you're building her as a sub DPS or you're running in energy hungry teams. And basically C6 is just, you know, for C6 worlds. I think most of us are going to be hitting at a C6 level. So overall, that's basically everything of a refresher towards Citlali at the current point. There hasn't been too much of an update regarding Citlali ever since she was released, because well, it's only been a number of patches. But the more important thing is, how is she doing in the current meta? Well, obviously she is still a top tier Krai support, ranking basically an overall A tier, I would say. And obviously whenever she is used in the correct team card of Melts and Freeze, she is definitely an S tier character. Currently her Abyss usage is around 12 to 18%, because while she has insanely high synergy with Mavuika and Novlet, which is obviously the DPS character that we've been using across most of the content. So generally speaking, up until this point, she's still an insanely good character, very comfortable to use, doesn't actually require a lot of on-field time. You switch her in, use her E-skill, use her elemental burst, and then she's basically off, doing, you know, her own thing. And then your DPS character can just shred your enemy's HP. However, with version 6.0 and beyond introducing potential new reactions, you know, like Lunar Charge, Lunar Bloom, we can potentially maybe expect Lunar Freeze, Lunar Vape. That would be very interesting. Citlali might have a bright future if that does happen. So, right, for the potential new reactions, if we do have access to some kind of new reaction toward Cryo, which I think it will, especially when Snatchnaya is potentially coming in the future, a Krai application and resistance shred could synergize with the upcoming not Krai character. For, you know, if we have a new, potentially very good Hydro character, your Wing Wing, potentially Columbina. But keep in mind that the new reactions are entirely new and they may need a Hydro character and also being a not Krai character to actually trigger it, while Citlali obviously doesn't necessarily match both, but she can always be filled into either of the slot. Other than that, many new characters are coming, you know, the Witches of the Hex and Circle, the leaders of the faction, they will be very strong. We already kind of know that Alice is, yes, going to be a pyro character, and looking at Alice's face, she is almost certainly not going to be a sub DPS character, but going to be maybe a character that's going to be on field blowing up the entirety of the battleground. So yeah, melting with Citlali may have a very nice potential. So honestly speaking, especially when Snatchnaya is going to be coming in the future with the region of Cryo, I don't think Citlali future is going to go down anytime soon. Honestly, that's what I think. Therefore, overall, when it comes to, you know, the question of whether you should be pooling for Citlali or skip at the current point, obviously depends a lot on your accounts. Now, the short answer is obviously yes, she's a very good character, even if you don't have any kind of investment into her. As long as you have a C0 Citlali, that is all good. However, you know, many of you may be looking into saving for future not Krai characters. You generally can consider skipping Citlali if your roster lacks strong Pyro Hydro characters, but you don't actually have like Mavuika, Hutao, Nuvelet, and you're more focusing on Electro or, you know, Dendro character on your team, for example, or like even like Cryo DPS character currently, like you have Skirk. Obviously, Citlali can work on the Skirk team, but not the most optimal character, though the Cryo DPS's team can survive without properly having Citlali. In which case, yes, potentially, you know, like Inefa right next to her is a really nice Electro character that can be used in many multiple team comps, and potentially, you know, Dendro characters, who knows, right? Future 6.0, we're probably maybe going to be having a new kind of Dendro character that's revived kind of like the Dendro meta again, because the Dendro meta is, you know, a little bit going down in some of the recent patches, but there is going to be potential of them coming back. So I think that's everything I have to say about Citlali at the current point. I hope that the video have been able to help you out. If you do have any question, leave it down in the comment section, and I or some other lovely Genshin player will get to you there. Again guys, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on my future Genshin videos. With that, I wish you a super day, and I'll catch you on my next video.